Question 27. Hello, Mike Grabham here again. Hey, we are answering question 27 of the top 29 questions that keep founders up at night. And question 27 is, what are the best ways to get customer feedback? I love this question. Love this question. So, my first advice is read a book called The Mom Test. It's by Rob Fitzpatrick. Read that book. It's actually a small book. It's not a big book. You can do it over a weekend. It's a great book. Will literally show you how to get feedback from customers. So that would solve all this. But I'm going to go through some highlights of what I've learned over the years of things that I've done and some tricks that I've learned. But I think the most important thing of this process is you need to understand how to ask the question. So here's what I see as mistakes that happen all the time is founders, they're so passionate about their product or service idea that they get caught up in talking about that. And what they really should be focusing on is you should be talking about the problem, not your cool solution that you're doing for the problem, but talking about the problem, right? So you should be listening to the customer about the problem and understanding about the problem and everything about the problem, not everything about this cool solution, this cool product you built that solves the problem. And founders love and they get caught in that all the time. So if you can avoid that, that would be awesome. And the way to avoid that is shut up and listen. That's really what it boils down to. Like, you need to be able to ask the question and listen. Ask the question and listen. And not be so excited about the product that you do all the talking, because you can't learn if you're talking. Listen and you can learn. So my advice is know how to ask questions. And there is an art to that. You may think there isn't. There absolutely is an art to that. Second thing is, know what you want out of the conversation. Know, like what I say is you should know 3 or 4 questions. If you're doing this customer feedback where you're getting customer feedback, you should have 3 or 4 questions in your head that you have memorized, you know exactly what you want. You should know those by heart. So when you have the opportunity to grab 10 minutes with someone, you can ask those 3 or 4 questions, right? So again, you should really know not only how to ask them, but what are you going to ask? And there should be 3 or 4 or 5 questions that you know are just drop dead, very important things do you want to get feedback from. So understand those and put them to memory. And then I think part of it is just being ready to talk to people at the drop of a hat. Like, you bump into somebody standing in line at the grocery store, or you bump into somebody standing in line, you're waiting for a bus, or you're at lunch and you haven't seen somebody for a while. All these things, like, you should take the opportunity to grab 5 minutes or 10 minutes and do a little customer interview, because what I've learned is I've learned so much more from these what I call somewhat random interactions with people about a product or service that I do, in like real formal interviews. You can do formal interviews. I am not a big fan of like focus groups. I think they're really hard to conduct well. So most people can't conduct them very well, because if you have one person that is somewhat of a kind of a the person over that takes over the conversation, I mean, that can kill it. It influences other people's opinion. And that's why I don't like focus groups, because there's 10 or 12 people in a room and you listen to each other talking about it, and we humans naturally can be influenced by what other people believe. So I'm not a big fan of focus groups. So I am a big fan of doing it yourself, having your team do it. Everyone, in my belief, everyone on your team should be talking to potential customers, because you're going to learn different things, and everyone on your team needs to deeply understand, again, the problem, right? They need to understand the problem, so the solution is a perfect match to that. So again, always be ready to talk. And here's a trick that I've done actually a couple times. It's great. So walk into a coffee shop, like midday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when it's not really super busy, but there's enough people walking in and out to keep things moving. Walk in and give the person who's taking the money, give he or she, give her $20, right? So he or she gets $20, and you say, take this and buy the next 4 people or whatever, 5 people that get drinks. Buy whatever they want, and then let them know that I bought it. And what you do is you go set up your computer in a corner or somewhere, where it's somewhat kind of out of the way and quiet enough that you can hear, and just sit there and do your work, right? And when people come over and they'll say thanks, which is great, they'll say thanks, and you're like, hey, you're welcome. Hey, do you have a couple minutes? And so you just start a conversation. And I've had some of the best feedback from those kind of interactions that you could ever get, because they're totally honest. They'll give you great feedback. They're not going to lie to you. It's just really a great way to do it, and it's fairly inexpensive. I mean, you think about it, you spend $20 and maybe talk to 4 or 5 people, and then what you always ask in those conversations is, hey, who else do you know that maybe I should talk to? Because, man, sometimes you'll get some connections that are not only good for your feedback, but also potential investors and all these things you can get by just asking, hey, who do you know? After you talk about this, not before, after you've created some kind of rapport with that person, ask them, who do you think I should talk to that you know? And you'll be surprised the kind of interactions and connections they'll make for you once they've kind of heard about what you're working on. And then, you can always do surveys. Surveys are popular. You can do Monkey Survey and all the different Google Forms has a survey system. But yeah, you can do surveys, or they do okay. Sometimes it's great for feedback, but again, the best feedback is face-to-face, 1 to 2 maybe at the most, but one-on-one is the best. And then I would, try to spend time in their shoes. And I say that what I'm saying is spend time working in their, like how they interact and what they do on their daily basis so you can understand that problem. If they're a truck driver, go ride in a truck, right? Go understand what their day is like. So it's important you put yourself in their shoes, again, to solve that problem and have a deeper understanding of how to solve that problem better. So that's my take. That's take 27. Most important thing, read the Mom Test. It's a great book, short read. Will really help you understand how to get great customer feedback. So that's it for today. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.